Sharks at Sandy Neck, and the public speaks on proposed changes to Ocean Street on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, August 16th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. Shark spotters are keeping an eye on the waters off of Sandy Neck. A Sandwich fisherman spotted a 12-foot shark swimming about 3 miles off the coast on Wednesday afternoon. Sandy Neck Beach Park manager Nina Coleman says the shark is certainly not something she sees every day.
It's unusual, definitely not unheard of. I've been asking that question of my colleagues. I've never had a confirmed sighting in the 9 years that I've run Sandy Neck Beach, but certainly there's been unconfirmed sightings and suggestions that there might be a great white in the bay, and it does happen now and then in the past history. I haven't been able to lock down a date as the last confirmed sighting, but it's an unusual event.
Coleman tells us what she knows at this point.
Being reported, the shark was sighted between 3 and 4 miles off of the Sandy Neck beach, so north of the beach. And it was sighted by a fisherman, Sandwich fisherman, and they got some really good footage. So I think that's what all the buzz is about, is that really good footage of, so folks can see that, and that's a novelty. At this point, that's all we know, and there hasn't been any additional sightings that I know of yet.
Coleman says the shark does not present a threat to Sandy Neck beachgoers.
We don't feel that the sighting was close enough to shore to be a concern for people in the water. Of course, we're going to be cautious. We're going to be watching the water. Everybody's going to, most everybody is going to be aware of this story and also keeping an eye out. We will clear the water if we see anything of concern. We will clear the water if we have a seal in our area, so we will be a little bit more cautious with a seal. Generally, we give it the required 300-foot buffer, but because we have this sighting, we will take that a little further and keep people out of the water for a while after that animal has even left. So it just puts us on alert, and certainly if we have a sighting, a confirmed sighting, then we would go into a state of alert and start warning people and getting people out of the water. But at this point, it's so far offshore that we don't want to disturb people's vacation. It's not a concern at this time.
She says right now she's coordinating with officials from other towns to gain information and also keeping an eye out on the water
down there. So at this point, today is a day to start figuring out the action plan and also the communication chain of events. If we do see anything of concern, there's obviously a list of folks that need to be contacted. So I've reached out to other towns that deal with this all the time, Orleans, and gotten a hold of their plans and started working on getting that together.
We will keep you updated if we receive any more new information about shark sightings. Many business owners and residents headed to Town Hall Wednesday night to hear plans to improve busy Ocean Street. Engineer Roger Persons describes the preliminary plans.
Things that Joanne said, the limits of the project, Main Street all the way down to Nantucket. You can see that we obviously, what we could consider to some degree a thorn in our side, and that is the intersection here with Old Colony, Ocean South. It's been an intersection. It's a very busy intersection. It has many priorities attached to it, and from my understanding, even though I've only been with the town about 6 years, it's been discussed for many years as far as detailing and improvement or potential improvement for that. What we are looking at in that regard as far as the intersection is, as a minimum, installation of equipment at the signal, at the traffic signal, that will, by definition, improve the operation of that intersection. Right now, the intersection is functioning on a timer, on a clock. Because, why? The equipment is old, very old, and we don't have all of the pieces in place, the detectors, the cameras. There are many ways that this can be done. They're not in place. Therefore, the intersection is not functioning as well as it could with the present conditions. I want to emphasize that. What we're also looking at that intersection is to absolutely improve the pedestrian crossing capabilities. We're required to do that. If we provide a crossing, we're required to provide certain timing by law, but we're also looking to enhance that pedestrian movement through the intersection.
Bill Mertz of Stantec Consulting further describes planned changes to Ocean Street.
What we're really trying to do is improve the aesthetics of this corridor, and I think that'll be greatly enhanced by some of the improvements that we're proposing. As far as the cross section, the pavement width is going to get a little bit wider, not very much, 1 or 2 feet. But what we're doing is reallocating the space. Out there today is basically 2 wide traffic lanes. So what we're proposing to do is to put, I guess from top to bottom, we're going to have a 4-foot cement concrete sidewalk with new granite curb. We'll have a 2-foot offset / fog line, if you will. 2 10-foot travel lanes, and then a 5-foot dedicated bike lane, and it'll actually be demarcated as a bike lane as well. And then 4-foot sidewalk on the opposite side of the street. And that's going to be a symmetrical section from Main Street down to the intersection at South Street. And what's going to set this section apart a little bit is going to be the treatments that are on either side of the roadway. There are numerous curb cuts, there are numerous driveways. A lot of the detail as far as the grading is going to have to take place at these locations, and how do we blend the sidewalk and the driveways into the adjacent properties, some of which you obviously hear tonight. Again, Roger mentioned the town-owned parking lot that we're looking to really integrate into the street concept and really provide an opportunity where we can for some green space, kind of soften up that corridor to the extent that we can. The red there is meant to demarcate a brick pattern, basically continuing the theme that exists up on Main Street, taking that down towards the waterfront along Ocean Street. ADA compliance is really one of the paramount concerns at this intersection. The current wheelchair ramps and sidewalks don't meet current ADA requirements, so we're looking to bring this intersection into full compliance with those regulations. The intersection signal equipment itself will be completely upgraded. It's kind of out of date, the equipment that's there, which Roger mentioned is why the intersection is not operating as efficiently as it could. In this configuration, queues that exist now, delays that exist now will basically still exist when this is all done. This is really just bringing this intersection into continuing further down on Ocean Street. The section changes in this corridor. What we have in this corridor is 2 10-foot lanes again. We have and then 4-foot shoulders on each side. And those 4-foot shoulders, they're not going to be dedicated or demarcated for bike lanes, but the 4-foot does provide access or a space for bicycles in that zone.
Many residents and business owners raise concerns about traffic congestion, pedestrian safety, and the ease of traveling in and around the area. Growth Management Director Joanne Miller-Bunt assured the crowd that their comments would have an impact on any final design.
As Steve Seymour explained, part of our task is to bring, when we see unsafe conditions, we have to bring you the alternatives to make those conditions safer. We hear what you're saying. We're not trying to impose anything on you, and so we'll go back to the drawing board. What I want to say is thank you all for coming out. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with everybody and with all of us. And it's good to see you again. And if this is what we have to do to see you, we're going to keep redesigning the intersection. No, I'm just kidding. So let me just tell you about next steps. We'll take this back. We'll be working on our grant application. What goes in with the grant application is a conceptual design. It's not a final construction design. And based on what we heard here this evening, you know, it's not going to include any of the alternatives that you don't prefer. When we get the money and get closer to beginning to create the design that will actually move into construction, that's when we'll convene you folks back together again, show you what we've got, and we'll work together on the final design. Does that sound good? Yes. All right. Keep your fingers crossed.
You can view the full meeting online at town.barnstable.ma.us. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.